Welcome, business researchers. My name is Melissa Anderson, and I'm the Business and Economics Subject Librarian here at Hannon Library at SOU. Today we are going to be talking about some of the research resources that are available for business research. We have a number of online and print resources available to you here at Hannon Library. I'm also going to give you some guidance in starting your market research. And I'm going to give you some information about where to go for further assistance if you're working on a business plan or you're researching a business idea. So good research is the foundation of business success. If you're working on an executive summary or trying to describe a business idea for someone, if you're working on a market analysis or trying to identify a target market, if you're analyzing the competitors for a specific business in a specific market, if you're working on financial projections, if you're trying to develop a marketing plan, or even if you're trying to come up with an exit strategy, you're going to need some good research. You're going to need to make claims, and you're going to need to have data to back up those claims. Every single one of these areas in a business plan or in business research that you're doing needs to have data and research to back it up in order to be reliable. So we have developed some research guides to help you do this here at Hannon Library. I'm going to show you a general research guide for business that's got a list of databases and other resources that you can use to start your research. And I'm also going to take you through the class guide that we've developed to help you for this specific class, BA 324, BA 427, or BA 499, our three business research classes. So here you are on the home page for the Hannon Library. What you're going to want to do is go to this area that says Begin Research in your subject area. You're going to scroll over to the Business heading, and it'll take you right here to the Research Guide for Business. This is the home page, and as you'll see, there are a lot of databases listed here on the left-hand side of the screen. And there also are some information about finding books in the catalog, ordering books from Summit, how to look for journals by title if you know the title of the journal you want to look at. There is quite a bit of information about citing your sources. And there also is a library FAQ page that's got answers to a lot of the questions you might have about borrowing things from the library. You'll also see that there is my picture here with contact information for how you can get in touch with me. I am very happy to answer questions by email or to set up an appointment to meet with you one-on-one, or you can also call me and leave a message if I'm not in the office, and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. So this is the general business research guide. If you click over here in the second tab where it says class guides, you will see that there are some lists of classes, class numbers, and if you click on the top one, which is BA 324, 427, and 499, Business Research, you can open up the class guide. Now this guide has a lot more information than the general overview guide has. You'll see this first page has sample business plans and lots of places where you can get information to business plans that you can use sort of as a template as you get started, or to give you ideas for the types of things you want to include in your business plan. The How-To tab has got a lot of information about how to find NAICS codes and also to how to cite your information in APA style. The Industry tab is going to give you information about, first of all, databases that you can get industry reports from, and also websites that have industry reports. There's a video you can watch about doing industry research, and again, more information about finding your NAICS code. The NAICS code, which is the North American Industry Classification System code, is very important when you're doing research because some of the databases will require you to know that code in order to draw reports for your specific industry. So we've got a lot of information about how to find your NAICS code here, as well as some other tutorials about some of the databases that I'm going to talk about a little bit later in this video. But there's a BizMiner tutorial here, there's IBIS World tutorial, there's some other tutorials that you may want to look at. The target market tab here has got a lot of the resources that I'm going to be talking about, as well as other ones that we have available either in the library or online. I've got videos for you to watch here. We've got books that you can request from the library or pick up here in person. We've got websites that have information that will also help you define your target market. On the competition tab, we've got information that will help you do your competitive analysis and additional websites and print resources that you may want to look at. We've got a whole tab devoted to financial ratios, how to find them, and then how to use them, as well as a video that you can watch from a librarian who used to be here at SOU. We've got a tab that's about trade associations, which I'm going to talk more about in this video, but they can be very, very helpful sources of information. We've got a whole tab devoted to Oregon economy and business and labor information. That may help you, again, with your target market as well as with other aspects of a business plan or business research. And then the last tab is additional resources, things that haven't been covered in any of the other tabs. This is especially useful if you have a very unusual or unique business idea and you're having trouble finding reports that correspond directly to your idea. These are some other places you can look to gather information to help you sort of flesh out your plan and the picture you're drawing of your market. So there's quite a few different resources here in this guide, and they are all here to help you focus on the types of information that you need. These are not all the resources that we have available in the library, but they are ones that are chosen to be because they are likely to be the most useful for you doing business research. If you can't find anything that helps you in this guide, you should definitely contact me, and I will see if I can help you use these sources more effectively, or else find some additional sources that are not listed here. But these databases and websites and books are great places to start. They contain a lot of really valuable information. So we have a number of online research sources that are available to you via Hannon Library. I personally love online sources because you're able to access them even when you're not in the library in most cases, as long as you have your SOU login information. So some of the resources that we have are IBIS World, which is going to give you some great industry market research reports. BizMiner, which can help you identify industry research and company information for a specific geographical area. We've got the Gale Small Business Resource Center, which brings together a lot of different types of resources that are helpful for small business owners and people with ideas for small businesses. We've also got Statista, which is a sort of a statistics portal that can give you information about consumer behavior and trends and things like that can be very helpful as you try to paint a picture of a target market. We've also got a number of ebooks, trade publication, magazines, and newspapers, all available online from the Hannon Library. We've got a great collection called ABI Inform that has academic journal articles, company information, market reports, and all kinds of other resources that are available to you on business topics. And then we've got Business Insights Global, which is an international database of international sources of information. So we've got all kinds of US companies, but also information about other countries. So if your business idea that you're looking into is in a different country, then this is one resource that you might want to spend some time looking at, because some of these other sources do focus more on the American market. So Business Insights Global does have American company information and reports and industry information, but it also has information for global businesses and for other countries as well. So we also have offline sources that are available to you if you're here at the library or if you can visit the library. We've got the Business Plans Handbooks, which the Business Plan Handbook series is a series of volumes that are published each year. Each one is a collection of real-world business plans that you can use to give you some ideas about how to write your own business plan. Now, each year is not going to have a comprehensive representation of every single type of business that you might want to start, but if you browse through a few of the volumes, you should be able to find something that's sort of close to the business idea that you're looking at. You may want to compare a couple of different business plans in these books and see which ones relate most to the business you want to start. These are great resources when you're first getting started because they will give you ideas about the kinds of information you're going to want to include in your business plan, and they're also going to give you ideas about places to look for information. We also have a number of other reference works that are really helpful, such as the American Marketplace, which has information about, spending patterns and demographics in the American market. We've got the Statistical Abstract of the United States, which is also available online. And this will give you all kinds of information about the United States, things about consumer behavior and about spending, but also about other things like tornadoes and other weather patterns and all kinds of other things that might affect American consumers. We've also got the Almanac of Business and Industrial Financial Ratios, which will be very helpful to you further along in the process of doing your business research. In addition to these reference works that are available in the reference section of the library, we also have a bunch of recently published books that are on business-related topics that you can check out from the library and take home. Some of the ones I found doing a quick search included Start Your Own Specialty Food Business, Crowdfunding Handbook, Sprint, How to Solve Big Problems and Test New Ideas in Just 5 Days, and a number of other recently published books. So we have books you can check out on recent topics, as well as reference materials that you can use here in the library. So, when you're getting started with doing business research, you'll often be starting with market research. Why is that? Well, understanding your target market will help you develop a marketing plan, which is going to be one of the important parts of a business plan if you decide to go forward and write a business plan for your business idea. Also, starting the market research will help you develop realistic financial projections, which are dependent on realistic sales estimates for your specific market. So knowing that market is really essential. Also, if you study market demographics and saturation, you can find out that there may be flaws in your business idea. And if that's the case, you want to find that out sooner rather than later, so that you can either adjust that business idea to take care of those flaws, or you can change your business idea altogether. If you start this research early enough, you'll have time to do that if you need to do that. So, I like to tell students this quote from a famous writer, Albert Szent-Györgyi. It said, "Discovery consists of looking at the same thing as everyone else and thinking something different." So if you do research for your business topic, you're going to be bringing together a bunch of different resources that other people may also have access to, but it's going to be up to you to use your creativity and ingenuity and innovation and come up with something that's different. So that's why you're going to want to be drawing from a lot of different resources for your project. So, getting started with your market research. One of the best places to start is IBIS World, partly because it's very user-friendly, also because it will give you ideas of a lot of other places to look. It will give you links and other information about other places that will have helpful information for you researching your business idea. Other places that are really helpful to look are the U.S. Census, especially the American Fact Finder will give you demographic information and all kinds of other information about very specific geographic areas, which once you've identified your market region, that's going to be very helpful. I mentioned Statista before. You can download reports and see infographics and other things from Statista that can help you paint a really nice picture of your target market. The Pew Research Center has a lot of information about trends and attitudes that may help you get a better sort of picture of your target market and your persona, your customer persona. And then on the course guide, I've included a link to My Best Segments, which are descriptions of Nielsen segments that can be mapped onto specific zip codes. So you can search for your zip code and then see which are the dominant market segments that live in that specific area. And that can also help you paint a really nice picture of your target market. Other places to look are trade publications, say publications by associations for people in your industry, also newspapers, academic journals, magazine databases. Lots of other types of publications can help you paint that more nuanced and detailed picture of your target market. So good market research, I'm going to say this again and again, good market research is going to combine multiple sources to paint a nuanced picture of the target market. You aren't going to find any one resource that's going to give you all the information you need to understand your market. You're going to need to pull together several of these. Say, pull an IBIS report, look at census data, see if there are any interesting graphics or reports on Statista, review what you can find out about trends and attitudes in Pew Research, look at some of your trade journals and newspaper articles and magazine articles and see what else you can find about your specific industry and your specific business idea and your specific customer attributes. So I wanted to give you guys an example of how you might go about doing something like this. So I came up with a sample business idea, which is the Marion Juice Company. It's a company that is based here in would be based here in Ashland and would be selling organic Marionberry juice drinks. What we would need to know in order to understand if we should go ahead with this business idea would be what is the market information for juice generally in the national picture, and also locally in Oregon or even in Ashland and Medford area. We'd want to develop a customer persona for our target market and imagine who our ideal customer is so that we can then think about how we might market to that person. We also need some local demographics to determine how many of this certain type of ideal customer exist in our local area. Like how many of these people, these potential juice buyers, are going to actually be here in Ashland and the Medford area. We also would need to get some information on the competitors in this region. Are there other people selling juices that would be major competitors for us? Is this market already saturated? Is this not maybe a good place to locate this business? So we're going to start with IBIS World. We're going to use IBIS World to analyze the market. So everyone's going to need to go to the Hannon Library homepage to select databases by title. Then choose I under the databases by title list and click on IBIS World Industry Market Research. And then if you're doing this from home, you're going to need to enter your ID and password to log on to the database. If you're doing it in the library, you won't need to do that. So once you have logged in, or if you're accessing this from the library, this is what you'll see after you click on the IBIS World link. This is the IBIS World homepage, and you can start your research right here in the middle of the page. So what you're going to want to do is go to the search box, and you can use that NAICS code if you've already identified it using some of the tools that I showed you on the course guide and the business research guide. You also can just search by keyword or by company name if you want information about a specific company. For IBIS, I generally like to use keywords because I find that they usually work pretty well. If you're searching keywords and nothing's coming up, that's when you're going to want to go to your NAICS code. You will always be able to pull something up with a NAICS code, at least one of the more general ones. But let's start here with keywords and just see what we can find. I'm just going to do juice. You could also do juice production or something like that. I'm just doing juice to keep it simple. So you can see I pulled up my top 5 reports that relate to juice according to the algorithm they're using here. I'm actually going to open this up just so you can see the other ones that are included. By clicking on more results, you see a lot more. You can also look beyond this as well, but this is going to give us actually plenty to start doing our research. This top one, juice production in the U.S., that's actually going to be the one we really want. It was our top result. It's also the one most relevant to what we're talking about. But if you scroll down this list, you'll see there are some others that might help. Tea production in the U.S., that potentially could be one because, the bottled tea companies might, be competitors for juice. Also, coffee and snack shops is one we might want to look at as well in case we were thinking that instead of selling bottled juice drinks, we want to do more of a juice and smoothie bar type thing. In fact, sometimes something I recommend doing to students is pulling a bunch of different reports that are related, like say juice production, tea production, and coffee and snack shops, and then comparing the information in order to kind of get a picture of what a specific business might look like. If you have a very unique business idea, you're not going to find a whole industry report on it. If your idea is really, really new, you might need to do something that's related. For example, if you wanted to do a boxing studio, you might not find an industry report for that because that's, a more unusual idea. It's not as common, but you could probably find one on martial arts studios or something like that. If you wanted to do one on, say, some specific like classical Indian dance, you wanted to have a studio teaching classical Indian dance. Well, that's something that's not as common across the US, so you might need to look at ballet studios or something like that. It's going to be related. So you're not going to always find something that's exactly your business idea. You're going to want to try to approximate it as close as you can and then see how much information from that more general report you can apply to your specific idea. So let's look at the juice production in the US report. You will see we've got a bunch of tabs across the top of the page. They include videos as well. You'll notice that in the drop down. And when you look at this report, there's quite a bit of information. There's information about the industry, about major players, activities, similar industries, and these codes that are with these titles are the NAICS codes, of course, and you can use those for searching in other databases as well for more information. We've got some additional resources here. This is the American Beverage Association, the Food and Drug Administration, the beverage industry, and the Department of Agriculture. All of these would be really useful resources for doing additional research. So you want to note these. That's one of the best things about these IBIS reports is they give you links to other places to look for information that's going to be very helpful, especially for identifying trends and things like that. The industry jargon also is going to help you when you run reports or run searches in other databases. You're going to want to know some of these terms so you know what you're looking for. And then the glossary is going to help you understand some of the words that are used in the report. You can scroll all the way down. There's quite a bit here. So these are some of the basics. If you go to the top here, before we go on another tab, I want to draw your attention to the fact that there is a date on here. This report is from January 2017. That's very, very recent. That is good. It's important to get information that's as recent as possible. You've also got the author of the report. This is going to be very important information because you are going, if you decide to use this report and cite some of the data in the report in your write-up, then you are definitely going to need to cite this report. You don't just say IBIS or IBIS World. You actually need to say the title of the report, the date it was published, the author of the report, all that information. There's a lot more information about citing your sources on the course guide, but I just want to draw your attention to where you can find some of this important information like the author and date of the report. These other tabs include the Industry at a Glance tab. There's all kinds of stats here on the juice industry. The performance, including predictions about future performance and growth potential. And there's even more of that on the industry outlook, some of the factors that affect the growth in the industry. You've got the different products that are and markets for this industry, the juice industry in this particular case. You've got the competitive landscape. That's going to give you a lot of information about competition in this industry. Note it says competition in this industry is high and the trend is increasing. These are really important things to know when you're trying to develop a new business. Going back to the top, we've also got the major companies. These are going to be very, very large companies for most of the industries you're going to look at. There still can be some information that's helpful to you, especially this sort of historical information that's included here. You've also got the operating conditions for this type of business, things that you need to know. How technology affects the industry and things like that. And then the key statistics about demand and and other things. These are all going to be important when you start thinking about your target market, because you want to know what the trends are and what the markets really look like. So this tab in the middle, products and markets, that's going to be where you're going to find the best information about demand determinants, about the specific markets for your particular product or service that you're offering. The places you might go to, like if you're wholesaling juice that you've produced, you're going to want to look at supermarkets and grocery stores. You're going to want to look at vending machines and other things. These are going to help you identify what that target market is really going to be. There's also geographic information on this tab that's going to be helpful as well. So this is a brief overview of what IBIS can do for you. Like I said, you may not be able to find an IBIS report that is specifically for your individual industry, but you should be able to find something that's a more general look at the industry that you belong to, or else reports from several different related industries that you can kind of piece together to make a picture of the industry you're really looking at. So once you've got your IBIS report or reports that you're going to use, you're going to need to look at those and then figure out where the holes are in the report. And you're going to figure out how you're going to fill in those holes or those blanks with other types of sources. So you'll look at the IBIS report and you'll identify the other types of information you might need for your market analysis. For our particular example of the juice company, we would need to know that, okay, the juice market is going to depend on having some disposable income. What can you find out about income levels and about disposable income and about spending patterns for your specific geographic area that you're targeting? The juice market is also going to depend on health trends. Where can you find information about current health trends and attitudes and trends in consumer spending on food products? And then the IBIS World Report is a national report, so it's looking at the whole U.S. Where can we find information that's similar to what's in the IBIS report, but for the more local market? You're going to want to think about sources that might have more local information. So I like to tell students that the outcome of any serious research can only be to make 2 questions grow where only 1 grew before. This was a saying of the famous economist Thorstein Veblen, and it's very, very true. If you're doing good research, your questions should be multiplying, not going away. The more questions you have, the better able you'll be able to be to target your specific needed information. So other sources you might consult to fill in some of those blanks. BizMiner is a resource that you can use, a database that's going to pull up industry and market information for very specific geographic areas. It's not going to have information about every geographic area. If you look at Oregon, for some industries, you might be able to get something for the Jackson County area, but you also might, and for other industries, you might only get information for Portland. For other industries, you might not even be able to find anything in Oregon at all. But in most cases, you'll be able to find something that is closer than the national picture that's in IBIS. The American Community Survey on census.gov is going to give you demographic information. It's often referred to, the tool you're going to use is often referred to as the American Fact Finder. That is populated with information from the American Community Survey and the decennial census. And I've got quite a bit of information about that on the course guide and about how to find information from the American Fact Finder, which is a really great resource for demographic information. And in fact, most of the other business research sources that you're going to be looking at are actually drawing on that same American Community Survey information for what they're presenting to you. So sometimes you may want to go directly to the American Community Survey yourself and find that information. For our specific juice company idea, we would want to look at trade publications such as Beverage World to look for information about industry trends and other types of information. If you're in a different industry, you're going to want to find out what are those trade publications and associations for that industry, and you're going to want to look at those. The American Beverage Association is the one for drinks, and there are other associations for just about every topic you can imagine. So for different sports related things, for other types of products and services, there are associations for all of those. And then you want to find out what that association is, what their website is, what kinds of information information they can provide to you, and also what publications they have that might have the kind of trend information that you want to look at. I mentioned Statista before. That's a great resource that we have for you here at Hannon Library that's going to give you statistics and infographics on business and consumer related topics. And then Business Insights Global and Business Collection are going to give you articles, case studies, reports, and more that you can use to fill in more specific information about markets and industries. And then I mentioned it before, the Pew Research Center is also one that you want to look at for trend information and attitudes in consumer spending. So once you've found all these great resources, you're going to use criteria to evaluate them, because it's really important that you come up with reliable information to base your claims on. So the first thing you want to consider is how current is the data that you're using. For business, you want it to be as current as it possibly can. You want these studies to have been conducted as recently as possible. For example, let's imagine that you're doing research on some business idea that's related to real estate. You would not want to be pulling up data from 2007. It is too old and the industry has changed too much since that time. So some industries haven't changed quite as much as that, but for all of them, you're going to want to find the most recent information possible. You also want to make sure that the information you're getting is relevant to the question you're actually asking. You might be able to determine that there are a certain number of people in a certain demographic in your geographic area. Like, let's say you're looking at American males between the ages of 25 and 40, but you want to make sure that that question, that raw number, is actually answering the question you're asking, which is how many potential customers might you have for a specific type of business. If you don't have good reasons to assume that your target customer are American males between the ages of 25 and 40 in a particular area, then that data you're finding is not going to be particularly relevant. So you want to make sure that the information you found actually answers the question you're asking. You also want to make sure that the information is accurate. Now, this one can be tricky because you're pulling all this research that has been done by experts, and you want to know if it's accurate or not, and you're not an expert yet in this area. So what do? Well, one thing you can do is look and see if the sources of the information are cited. In many cases, the data sources you're going to be looking at are pulling from the census or from other things. The census is usually pretty reliable. That is a source you might want to assume is fairly accurate. There are other sources that are less accurate. If the information resource you're looking at doesn't say where the information comes from, that's sort of a red flag. You want to at least know that there are studies or surveys or other types of information gathering behind the assertions that your information source is making. You also might want to see if you can verify any of the data or get it corroborated by another source. If only one source is saying that a particular business is a good bet and all the other sources are not saying that, you might want to ask yourself why that is. So you also want to look at the authority of the source you're looking at. There are certain things like, articles in the Wall Street Journal or in the New York Times that have a certain amount of authority. For businesses in Oregon, you might want to look at Portland Business Journal. You might want to look at certain academic journals in certain areas. These all are going to have a certain amount of authority. Blog posts by unknown people are not going to have the same kind of authority. So these are things you want to consider. Does the person who wrote the report you're looking at have some kind of authority in the area? Have they worked in the industry for a while? Have they conducted their own studies or research? Do they have credentials that make them a believable source? You also want to look at the purpose of your information source. If you are Googling for information, you're going to draw results from a bunch of commercial sites, and you are going to want to consider if those commercial sites are trying to sell you something. If they're telling you that a particular business idea is particularly good, is it because they want to sell you something in order to help that business? Are they selling equipment or services or something related to that business? You want to make sure you know that they are an unbiased source and that they're not trying to get money from you by providing this information. This is why we tend to look at academic journals, at databases and things like that, because their purpose is to inform you rather than to sell you something. So these criteria, the currency, relevance, accuracy, authority, and purpose of an information source, are the same criteria you would be using if you're looking for credible information for a research paper in history or biology or any other topic. Business research is no different and needs to follow the same set of criteria. It's also very, very important that you give credit where credit is due. All the information sources used in a business plan or write-up of business research need to be cited, just like in any other research project for any other class. In the School of Business, APA style is the one that is used. I have some examples on the course guide of citations for the types of resources that you're likely to be using in APA style. There also are some research guides relating to APA style and tip sheets and other resources available for helping you learn how to do APA style correctly. The Guide to Research Paper Basics also has links to other resources that will help you make sure you're citing all your sources correctly, which is very, very important. So, what if you go through all this and you still need help? Well, that's okay. I am here to help you, as are other librarians here at Hannon Library. We can help you perform your research. We can help you evaluate your sources. If you found a source but you're not sure if it's really a reliable source, we will help you determine that. We can also help you cite your information if you're not sure if you're citing it correctly. You can get help by calling the reference desk directly at 541-552-6442. You can also stop by the reference desk if you are in the library. You can also use the chat service, which is available when there is a librarian at the research desk. And if there is no one at the research desk and the chat's not available, you can always email Ask a Librarian. There's a link to that right on the homepage of the library, and you will get a response, most likely from me directly, to your email query, as long as you provide your email address. You can also, of course, stop by the reference desk if you're here in the library, and whoever is sitting at the reference desk will help you. And if you have a question that's very, very specific and they think that you need to talk to me, they will refer you to me. Or you can come to me directly. You can email me at andersm18@sou.edu, and I will be glad to make an appointment for an in-person, virtual, or phone consultation. As the business and economics librarian, I'm here to help you, and I would like to hear very much about your business idea and how I can help you find the research that you need to flesh it out. Always, if you've got questions, you should ask us here. We are all here to help you in the library, and we want to make sure that you succeed. So make sure you're not shy. You approach us either at the desk or email me or use the Ask a Librarian service, and we will get back to you as soon as we can with resources and tips on how to conduct your research. Thank you for listening to this presentation. Again, contact me if you have any questions, and good luck with your projects.